welcome back. I'm Danicia Christensen, your host of You Know How This Ends, the podcast where every time you listen to it, you are reminded of who you are, whose you are, and that you don't have to hustle or grind to get all your hopes and goals and dreams. All you have to do is keep going, don't give up, keep trusting, keep taking those steps in faith, and enjoy the process literally as much as possible. And I'm so excited to have our guest, Corey Dutton, back with us again today. Hi, Corey. Welcome back.
Hello, so glad to be here again.
Thank you. We got done with our previous podcast it's been a few weeks ago, a few months ago. And we're actually recording them back to back because we're like, oh my gosh, we got just got done and we didn't even cover half of the things we wanted to talk about. So let's just record another one. And but at the time of when you hear it though and get it when it's released, it'll be a few weeks later. But so many things that we wanted to still talk about to be able to deliver max value and help all of you learn the things that you need to know. Because when knowledge increases, behavior changes. And so many people are doing things that are not actually serving them and not actually getting them towards their goals and dreams and desires because they just don't know. They don't know. We only know what we know, right? And then when we know better, we do better. But if you don't know better, then you can't do better and your behavior can't change because you don't have the knowledge. And so that's what we're hoping to do here for you today. And not hoping, what we are going to do for you here today is give you more of that knowledge so you have more of the tools, more of the resources, and more of the support in that process. How does that sound, Corey?
That sounds awesome.
Amazing. So what it's so funny because when I first reached out to Corey, I was like, hey, I want you to come on my podcast and I want to talk about energetics of money because that was one of the things when I first heard her speaking that she brought up that I was like, yes, 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 you're speaking my language, right? And then we had a great conversation last time about all the things of getting started in real estate and your limiting beliefs and being aligned spiritually and connected with nature and all the things. And anyway, I was like, okay, we need to have you back again so we can talk about the thing that we actually wanted to talk about. So good. So I'll just kind of open it with this thought here, Corey, and then I'll let you kind of take it from there. One of my favorite things that I've noticed has shifted in me and the people that I work with and helping them get started in real estate investing because I'm a pretty newbie as well at the time of this recording. And one of the things that I have loved that has shifted is the different way that I talk about money. Previously, we're talking about money, maybe a few hundred, maybe a couple thousand, maybe like 10, 20,000 as far as like money that we're working with and moving around and stuff. And when you start working with real estate and real estate investing, you're talking about two, three, $400,000. You're talking about $500,000. You're talking about a couple $1,000,000. It really raises your financial awareness and your money mindset and just your comfortability with talking about money. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that it's huge. Like as far as like expanding your, I guess, scarcity mindset, because so many of us get stuck in, this finite perspective on what we think we can have and what we're comfortable having. And when you let go of that, it's amazing how it just expands. And you're like, you find yourself a year, 2, 3 years down the road, and you're like, wait a second, like, how did this paradigm shift? Like it just happens and you kind of evolve right along with it. And so I think if I would say anything, I would say definitely to try to not limit yourself in your mind of what you think you can have or how much money you think you can have. Because if you limit yourself to that, then that's where you're going to be stuck, right?
I always use or more. Like you were talking about, like your goal used to be like that 40 million, and I'm like, or more, right? Like I never keep it at a number. I'd be like, okay, I want this much or more. And there's that aspect of that right there. Don't limit yourself. Be open to the possibilities of things actually working out better than you could have ever possibly imagined.
Definitely that there's a book called Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Mhm.
And I recommend that for anybody to read that's a business owner. But
Amazing.
he talks about that big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yes, the
And
BHAG.
it's like just do it. Like, and I say, like, if I have a number in mind for something, I'm gonna say over a whatever that number is.
Yes.
So if I say, I want to make over $30,000 this month, right? Like, for example, if that's just one example of something, like, you
Yep.
know, if that's your goal or whatever, like say it, like put it out there and say don't limit yourself to that because you'll find that you'll get stuck right at that limit that you
Yep.
set for yourself.
Yep. So, so true. And how have you seen that that has progressed for you as you started working with, hundreds and hundreds and millions, hundreds of thousands, and even millions of dollars by working with real estate and working with other people's money? How did that kind of shift for you?
It's funny, like it just happened, like it evolved naturally because I didn't have, one of the mind things I did, which it worked for me and it might work for somebody listening on here, is
Absolutely.
music really inspires me. And on our last podcast, you had said you wanted to do an event that combines music and everything because music is so inspiring. Like that's why there's music at church,
Yes.
because it's a way to transcend. And so music really inspires me. And so I used to, whenever I would drive and I would have like a favorite song on that would inspire me, I would picture my account filling up.
Ah,
Like I would picture this all this money coming into my account.
I
And
love
and
that.
it was like this obsessive compulsive thought that every time I got in my car and I drove, I would just put my intention on that money coming into my account and flowing. And it was funny because years later now that's happening.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like because the process evolved over so much time, it you don't even realize it until you just go like
What?
wait, like, how did this happen? Like, happening exactly like I pictured it, which is really funny. So it definitely worked for me. So I think if you're open to it, any listeners out there, definitely try that. If that's your intention, like you might have a completely different intention.
Yes. But whatever your intention is, use money, use the vibe, or excuse me, use music, the vibration and frequency of the music. I encourage, and if you go back, those listeners, if you go back to my very first podcasts, like the first three or four or five, I talk specifically about this. So if you haven't listened to those, go back and listen. And if it's been a while, then go back and review them. But everything is vibration and frequency. Einstein and Tesla both taught if you want to know the secrets of the universe, understand vibration and frequency. Vibration is movement, frequency is music. It's sound. Like that's if you like really, really synchronizing it or breaking it down to base level. That's a really simple way, simplifying it. That was what I'm looking for. If you're really simplifying it, that's what you're looking at. So if you can use music to help you to visualize, like music is one of
Yes,
the fastest way to change how you're feeling, right?
yes,
And then the movement, I'll go out like I'm moving a lot because I have a very strong energy and sacral energy and I need movement in my life. And when I'm out just going for walks, I'll just stop and I'll just like do some belly dance movements. I'll just like move my hips in this figure eight, a very sacred geometry type of movement. Helps me to get into my body, helps me get into the creation energy of the universe, of the way that God works. I'll go out in my backyard and dance, like take, dance breaks or whatever, but using music and movement, just like Corey was talking about. And specifically, I don't know if you do this, Corey, but I love to create playlists specifically for a specific
yes,
manifestation or a desire or a goal or just a feeling that I'm wanting to
yes,
create more of and create a playlist that all the songs that are like, yeah, embodying that feeling, whether it's joy and abundance or whether it's peace and calm and
yes.
trust, whatever it is that you're doing.
It works, doesn't it?
Yes. So,
Because
so
I
good.
think it helps unleash the vision for people because if they can get inspired by music, then they can connect sometimes with a vision that's really hard for them to connect with. Like people will say, picture it in your mind and it'll show up in your life. Well, that's really hard for a lot of people. And I think for me and you, music helps us to visualize these things.
Yes.
So
So my
it's really
question for you,
important.
Corey, is do you sing along?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Because I was like, if you want to take it to the next level, listen, dance, and sing. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
oh, I'm glad.
And I
Good.
think more people are inspired by music like than they really truly realize. Like even like some of my friends, like they listen to their kids' music, like, and they love it. And it inspires them and they
So
gets
fun.
them going. So yeah,
So
I totally
fun.
encourage it.
Such an important piece. I'm glad that you brought that up because I haven't spoken about that lately, but it hasn't changed. It's still such a super, super important part of who I am, what I do, and honestly, what is going to be beneficial for everybody on the planet. So love, love, love that you brought that up. Ah, money energetics, mindset, getting out of the scarcity, opening up to more and more and more, never limiting, always, or more, like you were talking about. Let's get down. So I love to mix, the woo woo, the energetic side, which is just as real as any of the logical, practical side, FYI. I love to mix that with because it's be, do, have, right? So we just talked about the being, all the things that you need to be and focus on creating energetically and being that vibrational match for. And now I want Corey to speak into one of the do aspects of this that you are such a master at explaining better than anyone else I've ever heard, explaining how this particular investing method called the Burr method. And I just saw one of your clips about a friend of yours, a client who just has over time acquired all these properties and creating passive income using this Burr method. So let's spend a few
Yes.
minutes and dive into that, would you?
Okay. So first, for those that don't know, the BRRRR method it's an acronym that stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. Okay. So there's four R's. And what does that mean? So you're buying a property, you're fixing it up or rehabbing it, repairing it. Sometimes it doesn't really need a lot of work. If it's going to be a rental property, you might just have to clean the carpets and do a little paint and ready to rent it, right? But some are going to require a little bit more, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a huge rehab or renovation. The next step is rent it out. Then the next step is to refinance. What does that mean? It means you're usually going to acquire these properties, and in order to do so quickly, you're going to use a private money loan or a hard money loan from a private money, hard money lender like me. When you refinance, you're going to go to the bank or the credit union and you're going to say, hey, I've got this property. I bought it. I repaired it. I've got it rented out. Here's the money I'm making off of it. Now I want to refinance this into a 30-year mortgage because I want to hold this thing long term. It's the buy and hold strategy in real estate. And then once you refi, what you're going to do is you're going to pull out the cash that you've invested into that property, or let's say you haven't invested very much, but you're still going to pull some cash out because now that property is appreciated in value. And then you're going to take that down payment or that repair money, or even you may not even if I put any money into it at all, you're going to take that cash out from that refi and you're going to buy another property and you're going to repeat the process all over again. So let's say in the case of Gary that I just did a video on, one of my clients, he started out with less than $10,000 and we got him started on his first deal that he purchased. He had to close on it quickly. It was a estate sale and it was like, hey, I'll offer this price, but they're like, you got to close in a week and a bank can't do that. So we came in, we helped
So
Gary
he had
buy.
10,000 of his own money, and then you helped him. You funded the remainder. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Just
And
clarifying.
so he came in, we closed in a week. So the estate got their money. They were happy. Gary got a property for, I mean, probably 50% of market value because he was able to close on it in under a week. Again, it goes back to that's why the rich get richer because they have access to these kinds of tools, hard money lenders like me, that they can call and say, hey, can you close on this in a week? Because the bank's not going to be able to do it. And
Hmm.
so then what Gary did was he
Hold
bought
on
it.
though. Pause,
Sure.
pause, pause, pause. Hold on, because
Yep.
that's another beautiful piece too, is people think, I mean, a year and a half ago, I wouldn't have known any of this, wouldn't even known it was an option, right? To go and find private money or hard money or be able to make that happen quickly. And you said, this is how the rich get richer. The rich get richer because they know how to do these things. They've invested in
And
education, they've invested in their relationships to know these things that maybe you are here, someone here listening, you don't even know these things. This is the first time you've heard about it. This is how you're going to make your money.
well, right. And I think like a lot of people see these people out there doing real estate investing and they're like, how did they get started? Or how did they fund it? Or whatever. Like one of the keys to the kingdom is having a hard money lender or a private money lender like me on speed dial in your contacts,
Yeah.
right? That you can text or call and say, hey, this opportunity presented itself to me. I mean, maybe it's a home in your neighborhood. Maybe you know the person three doors down and they just died and their families, circling the house and they're trying to figure everything out. And you go up and you say, "Hey, I can solve all of these problems. I'd like to buy your house from you. You don't have to worry about listing with a realtor, paying realtor commissions. How about a week? And I give you this much." Now
Keep the
you've
money.
got a hard money lender you can call, and that's how these real estate investors do it. They don't use their own money, they're using someone else's money to do this, and they're closing same as cash. So they're not using necessarily a bank loan to do it. This operates a lot like cash.
Hmm. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, keep going.
So that, watching that video, my friends are wondering, some of my friends from high school or college or whatever that are watching these videos I'm posting on social media about Gary, perfect example. How did Gary do it? Like, so he found a property that was part of an estate and, he purchased it for 50% below market value and it didn't need a lot of repairs. And so what did he do? He basically flipped that first house. So there was so much profit in there. Instead of holding it as a rental, he flipped it. And so what did he do? He took the profit, which he made $35,000 on that flip. He
And that's
took that.
after he paid all the private money costs and paid everyone back and everything, right? He profited 35 grand.
Yep, after all his expenses, because he had to fix up the house and, we helped him do that.
Closing costs and everything. Yep.
And then, so once he had that, then he had another opportunity for a rental property. It was a duplex that came along because a lot of people say that good deals come in threes. I've heard that a lot. And so Gary just had this momentum going, and he found a duplex. And it turned out that the duplex only needed $7,000 in work before he was able to rent it out. So he put the 7,000 into one of the units. He rented that out and then he went to his bank and he said, "Hey, look, I've got this rental income," because that's another thing a lot of you might not know. In order to get a 30-year loan on a rental property, you do not need to show your personal income. They are looking at the income of the property.
Property. Yep.
So, and that's called a debt service coverage ratio loan or a DSCR loan. And so you're like, "Oh, well, my income's not that good or my income's not consistent or there's no way that I would qualify with my income." Well, you don't need it. So
Is
Gary
that
went to his bank with this property rented. They approved him for a debt service coverage ratio loan or DSCR loan. He paid off my hard money loan, right? And then he pulled his cash back out, that 35K that he had put into as a down payment on this new one. He then turned around and then 6 months later, I think it was like 4 to 6 months, it was somewhere in that, he found another rental property. So now he owns this one rental property and this duplex. He's got a 30-year loan on it. He comes back to me to buy this next property. He takes the profit. Well, actually, he pulled cash out as part of that refi from the bank. Because what happens, ladies and guys, is they do an appraisal, and the appraisal is going to come back higher, and then they'll lend you a certain amount of that
percentage, right?
appraised value, and usually it's higher than my loan amount. So once I get paid back, there's cash left for you that you can then take and you can use as a profit and just put it in your bank. Or if you want to buy another property, that's what Gary did. So Gary did this 6 more times. He had 7 properties after a 5-year period.
I love that. When I saw that story, I was like, this is perfect. So, so good. And it only
And that's the
started
Burr method.
with 10 grand. That's all he started with of his own money.
Actually, it was less than that.
Really? Was it less than 10? Love it.
Yes.
So
And he borrowed it. He actually borrowed that money from his brother. And he was able to pay his brother back, and then he still profited 35,000. His brother believed in him. His brother knew he had good property. His brother was like trying to buy it from him.
again, those relationships and going back to we talked about in our first podcast together of having the rapport, being trustworthy and having good character. I love that. As you're sharing this, Corey, the phrase that keeps coming to mind is money is the easiest thing in the world to figure it out.
It really is.
People feel like, and there's been so many times in my life where I'm like, I don't like the money piece feels so, so hard. But as I have got more education and opened up my knowledge, my education, my training, my network, my connections, my relationships, I'm seeing in my life and in the lives of people who are wealthy and who are really being successful, money is always the easiest piece to figure it out. Like there's so much money out there that
Yes.
it actually feels ridiculous when you have struggled financially before And then you get into this world, you're like, oh my gosh.
People will throw money at you if you have the right property or you have the right connections or you have the right skill sets. People are ready to give money to you. There's plenty of money out there that people have. Some people are sitting on, like 10, 15, 20, 30,000, and they don't know what to do with it and they're earning nothing in the bank. And so you connect with them at a real estate event and you maintain that connection that they're looking for deals. You're looking for deals. You find a deal. You call them up. You're like, I've got the hard money loan for most of it from
Yep.
Corey or another hard money lender. I
No,
need
that's
this
Corey.
much.
She's not another hard money lender. Go to Corey.
And then they're like, yeah, I love the deal. It's a great property. Like Gary's brother, he saw that he was getting a heck of a deal. And Gary's like, hey, I've got the hard money lined up. We can close on this in a week, but I'm missing this amount. Can you give it to me? And it was his brother's like, well, let me just buy the house from you because he saw that it was a good deal, right? And Gary's like, oh, heck no, you're not buying this from me. I'm doing
No
this
way,
deal.
man.
And that's another thing. Here's a strategy that I want to teach you about this. Let's just say you have somebody that's willing to invest with you, okay? You do not want to take them on as a partner if you can help it, okay? What you want to do is you want to propose that they give you a loan and that you pay them a rate of return on that investment. And why? It's better for them, actually. You know why? Because they're not just wiring you the money, like in Gary's case his brother's not just wiring him the money, okay? Nor is he being a partner where he's getting 50% of the profit. I wanted to talk about a principle that let's say you're borrowing money from somebody in your real estate group. You call them up, you're like, I have a deal, I've got the hard money, but I'm missing the 10 or 15%, right? I need that. They've got it. You don't want to partner with them if you can help it. What you want to do is create a debt that they are making you a loan and it's going to be called a second mortgage. It's kind of like a HELOC that you get on your home. They put a lien behind your first mortgage. In this case, I'm going to do the first mortgage for the majority of the money and
You're
then
gonna
they're
do
looking for the rest. Now, why? Because if they partner with you, then there's two things that happen. One, they're getting a percentage of your profit. So your profit is less. Okay. The second thing is they're not really properly secured. And so that's how you sell them because if they're just wiring you the money, they're on a dream and a prayer that you're going to actually do what you said you're going to do. But if they make you a loan, they get a lien on that property, right? And that's a secured interest. They also get listed on the insurance on the property and they get title insurance. So they're secured. Whereas if they partner with you, it's more risky for them because they have no secured interest in it. So if you pass away unexpectedly because you get hit by a bus, they're just floating out in the breeze because they wired you the money and now they have no connection to this house.
right,
And
right,
so it's going to be end up being cheaper for you in the long run because you're not giving them half your profit, but then they're more secure because they're getting a payment, 12, 13, 14% on that loan they've made to you, which is incredible. They can't get that anywhere unless they go put their money into a hedge fund.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's just a good strategy that if you're looking for that money for that Burr property that you're trying to get into, that rental buy and hold property, it's your first one. Try to find someone in your network, family, friends, someone in that group that you've made contacts in, and then propose it to them as a debt and not
Yeah.
as a partnership.
Yes. And that's actually what we do in our investment group. And to clarify, because some people they've heard of investment groups where you share the deals. We don't necessarily share the a profit in the deals, but we either lend and loan money or we be those equity partners like what you're talking about. And because you actually cannot, so some people hearing this might be like, oh, well, I'll just go post on Facebook and let people know that I have this property, that I'm doing this deal and see if anyone wants to partner with me. And what would happen if someone did that, Corey?
Well, there's a potential to lose the deal altogether, because you've created competition for yourself on that deal,
Mhm.
and or you're potentially now giving away half of your profit or more.
But also you could go to jail. You can't solicit
Oh yeah,
funds like
that's
what's
right.
it called publicly, right? You have to go to people that you already have these connections with. So that's
Right.
why like all, yes, all the things. And that is why it's important to be. So our group is called the Investor Secret Network. That's literally what we do in there is we help fund other people's deals, whether that's through like Corey being in there and being a private money lender or, having, there's lots of different ways that you can structure it. And you can't do that publicly. You have to go to people that you know. I was talking with a friend about this
Yep.
and she was like, I don't want to talk to my family and my friends and neighbors about partnering with me. And I was like, cool, join our Investor Secret Network. It's
Yep.
$1 the first month, $97 a month after that. And you have access to millions and millions and millions of dollars of people who that's what they want to do. They want to give you
Yes.
their money on deals.
Absolutely. Who wants to ask their family and friends for money? That's really hard to
Oh,
do. Like
yeah.
Gary's brother, that was really hard for him to call his brother and ask him, and but he did it because he
But he
had.
did it. He made it happen, right? That was a resource that he had, and he was willing to do that. And that's another piece that's so important is, are you willing to do the things necessary? Are you willing to be uncomfortable? Are you willing to figure it out until you have more in place where he was able to fund his own deals and partner with you and stuff after that. But to get started, we literally have to be more uncomfortable in the in our state of where we're at right now than the uncomfortableness that it is of moving into something new and different. And until you're more uncomfortable where you are, then it feels to move into that new thing, you're not going to make progress. Have you
Well, and
seen?
I talked about in my last podcast with you, I talked about, the spontaneous insight and intuition that women have, which is what helps us excel as real estate investors quickly because we have this sixth sense, the third eye, the ESP, and we have this, these ideas pop into our head or these thoughts. Well, the thing about there's a fine line because in real estate, I'm going to tell you that there is no real estate deal out there in the world that you are not going to second guess or that you're not going to have obstacles and problems along the way before you buy it. But don't ever think oh, this can't be right because this went wrong and that went wrong because that's just real estate because there's so many things going on. You've got the real estate agent, you've got the seller, you've got the asset, the house, right? Or the building or whatever it is that you're buying, the land. You've got so many factors involved that it's never clean. I have never seen one real estate deal that didn't have a bump in the road all the way to the closing table to buy
Yeah.
it. And I've had so many of my borrowers call me and be like, "Is this a sign that I shouldn't proceed?" And I'm like, "No, this is real estate."
Welcome to the club.
So, but you've got to do your due diligence too. You don't want to ignore like the numbers are the numbers.
Yep.
And the reality is the reality. And if you've done your due diligence and you're like, okay, well, now it comes down to, am I willing to take the risk? Because the numbers work, the due diligence, everything's passed. Yes, we've had some bumps along the road, but am I willing to take the risk? And you have to be willing to be uncomfortable and take that risk sometimes and go into something with total faith. Like she was saying, sometimes it's about getting out of your comfort zone and just having faith.
Well, and if it was easy, everyone would do it, right? It's not necessarily it's not hard, but it's also you have to be willing to take the risk. You have to have and your risk decreases with education. That's why we stress so highly. Get yourself educated. Talk to me. Let's get you educated so that you're not because I've heard so many horror stories, as I'm sure you have as well, Corey, of people who, oh, my uncle this or my grandpa that, or we tried this, and they're scared to death of real estate investing because they just jumped in tried to figure it out as they went along without getting educated and having people to support them.
Well, the resources, because if you have mentors in your group or in your network, those people can look at that deal for you and help you analyze these problems. And like a hard money lender like me, I mentioned in my last podcast that I had that couple that was trying
Yeah.
so desperately to get
Yeah.
into a deal that they were not listening to reason. They wanted to get in a deal so bad that they didn't let me help.
Yes.
Because I'm that second set of eyes sometimes where I can run the numbers and I can check your assumptions. I have a real estate investor that I've been working with since I got started. I'm still doing stuff for him. I just closed 2 loans for him last week. And when I said that sometimes deals come in threes, these two came at the same time. So we
Oh,
closed both of
fun.
them on the same day last week. But he called me up and he's like, I just appreciate like you questioning everything like you do you
So
know and
good.
that's what these people in this group that are helping you, your people in your network or your mentors or your contractors or your inspectors or your hard money lenders, they're that second, third, fourth, fifth set of eyes that could see something that maybe you've missed. And so that's the importance of a lot of people that lose money, either they're too eager to get into a deal, they're desperate to get into a deal, or they haven't gone through the proper steps of learning and the education. Because when you rush into something and you don't have your advisors and your mentors and your people giving that a look over, that's where you're going to lose money.
Yep. 100%. Again, your relationships, right? We keep going back. That was your big advice that you gave at the end of our last podcast was develop relationships, develop those relationships of trust and get people in your community. Ah, I love it. Buy, so the Burr method, to recap,
Okay.
buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. Simple as that. Start where you're at and grow from there. And I don't know if there's anyone out there that does it as good as you do, Corey.
Well, and it's like maybe, let's like maybe you think I want to have 5 properties, in this amount of time. Like be patient and compassionate with yourself and like don't try to push it. Like let it happen because you know what? You might get to where you have 1 property and that's enough for you.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, because that's your limit. You're not trying to push your limit. You realize that's your limit, and that's okay. Like, accept that. Like, I see too many investors, like, they try to like get to that goal so hard that they end up buying properties that don't make money for them because they're
And,
just like,
and they're burned out. Yep.
I'm gonna get it, and it's like, no, like let it happen the way it's supposed to happen. That's
Hello.
that's another lesson that Deepak Chopra teaches. I mentioned a book that I totally recommend called The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success in the last podcast. You have to read that book or listen to it on audio. But he talks about, um, detachment
I
from
love
the
it.
outcome.
It's one
It
of the
doesn't.
hardest laws and but also one of the most powerful.
And it's not to say I'm not going to set this goal and I'm not going to work towards this goal. It's saying I've got this goal, I'm working towards this goal, but what happens between here and there, I'm open to whatever outcome comes. It's like with me, my goals with my business, I've accepted that there might come a point where I say this is enough. I don't want to grow anymore.
Yeah.
And that's okay because I've detached from the outcome that I want. Yes, I've set my intention of it, but I'm not so attached, rigidly attached to it that I'm going to force it.
Yeah.
And if you force something, that's when bad things happen because you're not letting God, the universe, whatever it is you believe, work in your life and help you create what's best for you. You're pushing it. You're like, I'm going to have this no matter what.
And we in our limited thinking think that this is the one right way. And God's going, if you would let go a little bit and release control and let me help, there's a million ways that will bring you more joy and even come more easily and sooner in a lot of cases and longer in some cases than what we thought.
100%. I totally agree with that.
That law of detachment every time. And that's why I said it's one of the most important things and also one of the trickiest things because it's this balance of knowing what we want, taking the actions to move us forward, but at the same time being like, but if it happens this year or in 10 years, like either way, I'm fine. And I was just coaching on this the other day where I was like, but guess what? The thing that I've realized is that when you get there, when you get that goal, it's going to feel the same way as it does right now. You're still going to have good days. You're still going to have bad days. You're going to still have lots of joy. You're still going to have frustrations. You're still going to have time where you feel like there's tons of money and you can do whatever you want. And you're going to have times where you feel like money is tight. Like it's going to feel exactly the same as it does right now. Have you seen that, Corey, in your life?
100%. I mean, I heard a guy talking like once about like he thought like success meant this big house and having a Rolex watch and driving this fancy car, okay? And once he had it, he said he realized how empty he truly was because it didn't have the impact on
Really
him
different.
that he thought, the feeling that he thought he would have. And you know what he realized also, he said he realized all the things he had to sacrifice to get that. And he said it wasn't to him, he said it really wasn't worth it because he had to give up so much to
And we
get
talked
that.
about that in your last episode of your friend that passed away, not having spent the time with his family that he probably was more important to him or could have been a bigger part of his life. And that's the thing, if we're achieving our goals at the expense of our relationships. One of the things I've taught my children since they were little is people are more important than things. People are more important than things. Always, 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 no matter how expensive or how important or how big the thing, people are always more important than things. And if you are, and we're always, and this is the crazy thing that if I had realized sooner, I would have done so many things differently. We're always after a feeling. We want the success, we want the money, we want the results, we want whatever it is because we think, without realizing it, we think that that result will give us the feeling that we're after. But we are always able to experience the feeling that we want at any time without the result even happening. You can feel success, joy, peace, love, satisfaction, gratitude. You can feel all of that today, right here, right now, without experiencing any of your goals and desires being met yet. Focus on the feeling.
100%. I mean, and in the seven spiritual laws of success, you'll find there's a chapter where he talks about the symbols of success, these material symbols that people get so attached to, the car, the money, the title, and what he says is that, you know, those are symbols of yourself. Those are that's your ego self. And that's not who you really are. And that's where a lot of people they get to this level of success where they think, oh, I finally have all these symbols, and they're empty. They're empty
Doesn't
inside
feel any
because
different than
they
before.
like I said, they've given up everything to have that, and it's not what they thought. And so it's try to not focus on these symbols that you think represent success. Define what success is for you and
And what
really
it
determine
feels
what is your why. Why do you want this stuff? Like, is it because it's your ego speaking? Is it your ego that's telling you that like, well, I want to be successful and I want to have this big portfolio of real estate and all this stuff. And it's like, at the end of the day, you have to define for yourself what is success and happiness. And I think that that's very hard for people to do in this society because we live in a materialistic society where you're going on social media and you're seeing these people with all these things and you think you should have those things too. And it's just so sad that people they strive so hard for these things when ultimately those things aren't going to bring them happiness.
nope. And how I love going. So on that note, I love camping. I love tent camping, like bare bones out in the middle of nowhere, dry, deserted camping. I love, love, love that. I love just being in nature. I love having limited resources. I just like love having my family around me without any distractions or anything else going on. All you need is some kind of tent and some basic food and shelter and like minimal real. That's one of my places where I'm most at peace, most enjoy, most happy. It doesn't have anything to do with money. And I also love, cruises and vacations and seeing the world, and all that requires money. Money just makes you more of who you already are and gives you more opportunities to do whatever it is that you want to do in life. So we are not saying don't don't try and get more money. Don't focus on goals and on growth and success and being, having all that. We're just saying and reminding you in the process, focus on what you're feeling and get clear on what is the feeling I'm wanting to create that I think having these results will give me. How can I create that now so that you can enjoy the journey, enjoy the process? And this is part of how you are in that piece of, I know how this ends. You know how this ends because you're feeling it right here, right now. And then it's just a matter of time. And that's how you can implement, like you were talking about, that law of detachment, because you're so happy and joyful and in so much trust in the process that it doesn't matter whether it happens this month or next month or in 5 years. You love your life and you're grateful and joyful every moment of the way, every step of the way.
Well, and it's, part of that detachment too is, because if you're so rigidly attached to that outcome, what if another opportunity shows up?
I know.
And then you're like, no, but I'm going to do this. And it's like God, the universe, whatever you believe in is saying,
Like,
here,
oh,
here, I'm giving you this. And you're like, nope, I've got to
nope,
have 5 properties in 5 years.
oh, I know.
And you might change direction at any time if you're detached from this outcome. It doesn't mean you can't set goals, but you really have to be open to whatever shows up for you because it might not be right. Like I used to think that I wanted to own a bunch of rental properties and then I owned one and I was like, I don't want to own more than one. Like this is a pain in the butt. But I realized it wasn't for me. But before that, I had this goal of how many rental properties I was going to have and how much cash flow I wanted and all these numbers and everything. But then I had one and I was like, okay, that's enough. I'm done.
I'm
And then I
done.
looked for the next goal, of whatever it is. Now, you're probably wondering when you're listening to this, like, let's say you found a property, and your average hard money lender, you're probably wondering, like, how much would I have loaned Gary, right, on that, right? Or like, if it's a fix and flip, like, how much would a hard money lender like me lend? Well, it varies. It's very flexible. It depends on the deal. It depends on the situation. Sometimes you have to bring in money. So you would have to bring in some of your own money or get someone in your network or your group to put up that money of what I won't be able to lend, right?
Right.
And sometimes we can give you 100% of the financing. And so don't don't get stuck in, well, these parameters, right? Because there's a lot of flexibility in real estate and each deal, like Gary was getting that property at 50% below market value. So he's gonna have to bring in like no money, to get this deal closed. But then there's some stuff that it's a very sought after property. There's a lot of people vying for it. You want it. You may have to come up with a little bit more money on that particular property to buy it. And so like I said, it just varies from real estate deal to real estate deal. So don't go on a hard money lender's website and say, oh, well, they'll only lend 85% of purchase price on a flip and 85% of repairs because it depends. It always depends.
Be willing to have a conversation, right? Going back to the relationships and being open to the possibilities. Oh, this has been so good, Corey. So, so good. I feel like we've covered all the things that I really wanted to make sure that our audience got to learn and got to hear from you. Thank you for this beautiful conversation. Thank you for sharing your time, your knowledge, your expertise, your energy. No, I keep wanting to call it Harvest. High West Lending. And they can find you, so they can look up High West Lending online. And then is it Instagram or Facebook for you or
Well, I was
both?
gonna say, I had said the last time, for those that want to learn, I think my best resource for you, go to YouTube and search for High West Lending, and you'll find my YouTube channel. And there are so many videos on there. Those will help you because there's gonna be stuff that you didn't even know you didn't know. And there's going to be questions answered by a lot of these videos that you didn't even know you had those questions. And so I explain everything across all spectrums. So go to my YouTube channel, go to YouTube and search for High West Lending, and my YouTube channel will pop up. And then if you want to look for me on Instagram, it's Corey Dutton.lender. And I do all my same videos on YouTube, I'll do on Instagram. So if you're an Instagram person, that's a good
See
way.
'em
If you
all.
want to check out my loan programs or read my blog, because I talk a lot about
Oh,
success
cool.
stories that real estate investors, I have a new blog I'm getting ready to do on my website, highwestlending.com. And it's a woman real estate investor. She got divorced and she just changed her life. And she's got a whole portfolio of rental properties. She's doing the BRRRR method and using hard money lenders like me to help her get from the next property to the next. And she is amazing. So definitely check out my blog on my website too. And you can see my loan programs there. So.
You guys, it's possible. It's all possible. And if you haven't considered real estate investing as the way, the path to help you to get your hopes and dreams, I always thought for me that real estate investing is something I would do later, after my business was successful, after my coaching, had reached these different milestones and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, then we'll take all that money and start investing in real estate. And literally God was like, or what if real estate investing is the way, the path that leads you to all of these goals in your coaching business? And it completely blew my mind, turned my world upside down, and here we are. And that's why I want to share and teach and help other women and men to figure that out as well, because it's a beautiful, beautiful path that will open up more possibilities for you than you ever imagined and dreamed of.
And you're creating housing for other people. You're creating, whether you're flipping or whether you're buying to hold and rent, you're creating a house and or a home for somebody, apartment, somebody to live in, a trailer, a mobile home, a manufactured home. You're creating something that somebody can live in and have their livelihood through. So that in itself is a huge purpose.
Such a blessing. Such a blessing. Win, win, win for everybody involved. That's so funny. Like, we need to wrap up, but that's so funny you said that because I've had several people be like, oh, yeah, but investors are just trying to make a buck. They don't care about the people. They're doing this. And I'm like, no, at least not like the investors that I know and that I work with, and not Corey and not all of our people, right? So open up to things looking differently. Open up
Definitely.
these
Hopefully
beautiful.
we inspired some of your listeners today
Yes,
to on the money part. Like it's not that hard. You can do
definitely.
it. And
Definitely.
that's how people build wealth is they know hard money lenders like me. They find a property, they put it together. They don't have to wait for the bank to do an appraisal and wait, get the tax returns and the bank statements and their income and their credit. Like I don't care about your credit score. I don't care about what income you earn. I'm
Care
looking
about
at
the property.
property and your resources that you've built around you of people that are going to help you succeed. And that to me is the most important thing.
Amazing. I love it, Corey. Thank you so, so much for being here again. We're gonna like put a pin in this and come back to you maybe a few months or next year or something like that and give kind of a recap and a reassessment of where we're both at in a year's time. How does that sound?
I love it.
Super fun. Okay, love you, love you. Make sure that you're connecting with Corey, everybody, on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Please send me a DM. Please comment on the posts, and let's figure out how we can help you start doing this as well. Remember who you are and whose you are, and that you know how this ends. Love you. Bye.
See ya.